Okay, right now we're going to go through lab 14. This lab is all the different types of chemical reactions that we've talked about, so I'm going to do some of these so you guys can actually see what happens in these. The big pre-lab discussion you should read through. It talks about the different types of reactions. It's really good in explaining all those different things. So what we're going to do is go to the procedure right now, and we're going to start at part A, which is synthesis reactions. And so what we have for part 1 and 2 here, we're going to do part 1 and 2 first, is you take a piece of copper wire, which is just basically copper. It's copper colored, and we're going to put it in a flame and hold it there. Hopefully you'll be able to see this okay, but I've got a burner here, and I'm going to hold this in here. It says to hold it in there for a minute or two. I'm just going to hold it in there probably for about a minute. We'll see here if we can start seeing some change. But it was pretty shiny to start with. Right now, let's see if I can get closer. It kind of starts glowing a little bit, as you would guess, and it starts turning a little bit black. You can see the flame kind of gets a different color here as it heats up.
Special ed teachers and paraprofessionals, please
not
report
a
to the
ton,
emergency room at this time.
not a ton of difference, but you can see kind of a black coating happen, and obviously it's getting pretty warm right now, but it kind of gets a black coating. So you can see that there is something that kind of sticks to the outside of that wire. Okay, so that's the first part 1 and 2 there. The next thing that we want to do is magnesium, and we've done that several times this year. I lost my piece of magnesium, so let me grab one here quick. So again, we're just going to take this piece of magnesium ribbon. You guys have seen this again this year. We catch it on fire and it becomes really, really bright and burns. Let's see if we can get it to go here. Okay, really, really bright. Okay, and as you can see right now, it's a really powdery white. Again, we've seen this on video before. Very flaky. I just broke it off inside there. Very flaky and white now. Very different than when it was this silver piece of metal before we started. Okay, so very different. We got magnesium oxide. Remember, when we burn something, we need the oxygen available, and that is what allows that to burn. Okay, so that was part A for step number 3, what I just did. Now we're going to go to a couple decomposition reactions. So what I've done is, this is step 4, part B, steps 4 and 5, and we put this kind of greenish colored powder in the test tube, and we're going to heat that for a little bit here. It doesn't take very long, and you kind of start seeing a change in the powder. And again, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, but hopefully you can kind of see that it's turning a blackish color as we heat it now. Okay, very different than the greenish color we started with. So we're going to let that heat up here for just a little bit longer, so most of it turns that black color. So again, you can kind of see here, most of it is black right now. There's a little bit of green still in there. But most of it's black. So what we're supposed to do is take our burning wood splint and put it in here to see what's being released. Well, when you put a splint in there and it completely goes out, that is an indication that we have carbon dioxide in there. And you can see every time that I've put it in there, that flame completely goes out. Okay, so we definitely have CO2 gas that was produced there, and that is a decomposition reaction there. Now we're going to move on to part C, step 6. We're going to do steps 6 and 7 here. We've got a test tube with hydrochloric acid in here, and it's just a clear liquid. We've got a piece of zinc, which is just a silver. Going to drop that in there. and you can see all the bubbles that are being produced there. What we're going to attempt to do here is catch this gas,
Linda
okay, with
Hoffman,
another
please
test
report to
tube.
the Andrew.
So what you do, you take another test tube, you flip it upside down, okay, and we're catching all the gas here. So we can see that this is breaking down, right? We're producing something new that wasn't there before. We're going to catch this gas that's being produced, and then we're going to test that. If we look at step 6, we're supposed to light our flame again and stick it inside this tube to see what happens. I can see that the gas is going up inside this tube right now, so I am going to light my splint here, and we're going to see if it goes out or if something else happens. Okay, did you hear that? Okay, it happens once. It was a really loud popping sound. What that tells me is that that was hydrogen gas, okay, which should make sense because we had hydrochloric acid in there. So that really loud popping noise was that hydrogen gas, okay. Now I'm trying to get through these fairly quickly so this video isn't an hour long. Now we're on to part C, step 8. This is a single replacement reaction. The last one was also a single replacement reaction. We have this really pretty blue copper sulfate liquid, and then a piece of zinc again. We're going to drop it in there, and this is one that we don't see an instantaneous reaction, so I'm going to let this set until we're done with the next step, and then we're going to look at it and see the differences that we see in that one. Okay, so again, step 8, we're going to set to the side, and we're going to go through 9 and 10 here. So now we're on to part D, step 9. This is the double replacement reaction. In this test tube, we have zinc acetate, again, just a clear liquid. And then in our second test tube, we have sodium phosphate tribasic, another clear liquid. So we're going to put these two together. Let me get it so you guys can hopefully see this as it happens. We're going to combine these two, and hopefully you could see that right away. As soon as those two combine, we have a liquid now that's really kind of cloudy and looks very different than that clear liquid that we just had. Okay, so we're going to let that set for a minute to see if we can get some precipitate to settle down to the bottom. And that, remember, precipitate is a solid that settles out of a reaction. Okay, so we're going to let that set for a second, and now we're going to look at part D, number 10, step number 10. And this one we have some hydrochloric acid and we have some sodium sulfite. Again, both clear liquids. We're going to combine these. Here we really don't get a huge change. You can kind of see a little bit of a shimmer in there when they come together, but really no color change. And you're supposed to waft this one and see if you smell it. I really don't ever see a huge difference in smell, but some people can smell that one. I don't really notice it, but when you guys write out your reaction, you'll be able to write down the gas that's formed there, that you get a change in odor. Okay, so let's go back real quick and look at our step number 8 again with our copper sulfate and our zinc. If you look really carefully, you can see the zinc is starting to turn a different color. It actually kind of gets a coppery color, and it turns black also. So if we let the longer we let this set, the more that color change happens. But obviously you don't want this video to be 20 minutes long. So if I have time, I'll post a picture of that later on with the picture so you can see what that actually looks like after it sets for a while. Okay. And then our step 9, again, just still looks very, very cloudy. Not much is settled out of that yet either. But I can take a picture of that later too and show you the final results of that. So now you've seen all the reactions happen. You'll be able to go through your lab. You have to write down all your observations of what you saw there, and then you're going to write out here, if you read the directions carefully, you have to balance each equation, so you're going to use your coefficients, and then you have to write the names of everything. So we have to go back and remember when we have a transition metal, right, this first one is going to be Copper plus oxygen gives us
Social
copper
Studies Department,
2
Secretary
oxide.
Fleetwood Room.
Okay, so copper 2 oxide, so that we remember that this needs, sorry, this needs a Roman numeral because oxygen has a -2 charge, so copper has a +2 charge. So you'll go through and do that with all of your reactions. Do your conclusion. You do not need to answer what is another test for CO2 gas. We showed you the one test with the burning splint that it goes out, so you don't need to worry about the second one there. And then the hydrogen gas one, obviously that's the one that you heard that big pop with. And then you're going to go through, balance these last equations, and describe what type of reaction is there.